many of you remember the day, 2, 3, 4 years old, when either you or your children at that age, the first time you pulled out the cookie jar? You remember that? And you're sitting around the table and there's these green things on their plate or on your plate, and you have to eat them all before you get what's in this cookie jar, and you've never had one before, but you know it looks good because of the way mom and dad are treating it. And you start salivating even though you're sick of the green things on your plate. And you say, now if you clean up everything on your plate, you can have what's in the cookie jar or the candy dish, right? I want you to think about this in terms of that. How many of you had to be taught, or how many of your kids, regardless, after the first time you gave them one of those cookies, how many of you had to be taught how to find that cookie jar and put your hand in it? It doesn't matter where your parents hid it, right? They put it in the corner cabinet, farthest away, highest up, behind the flour and the sugar and everything else. And they didn't have to do this. Okay, now Johnny and Betty, when mom and dad go upstairs to relax for the evening, here's what we want you to do. Would you take the chair from the table and slide it across the kitchen and put it there in the corner? Now stop and see if we're coming back down. If we are, just sit down and act like nothing's going on. We'll just ignore you. We'll act like it's something you do every night. And then when we're gone again, you climb up on the chair. I know we've told you never to get on the cabinet or climb on the cabinets, but you climb up on the counter and you reach back there. Now stop and listen every once in a while, because we may be coming down the stairs. And if we are, you got to jump back down and sit in the chair. Don't hurt yourself now. We wouldn't want you to hurt yourself. So if all goes well, you get up there, you open that cabinet door, that cupboard door, and you reach back. Now be really, really careful here, Betty, Johnny. Move the flour carefully. See, that's a great hint, because if there's any flour spilled and on the cabinet or down on the counter, we're going to know somebody's been in the cookie jar, and we don't want you to think that we know that. So you be very careful. You get the cookies out, and if nobody's downstairs by then, you eat every one of them. Go ahead. Now you're looking, some of you are smiling, some of you are going, boy, he's an idiot. What's he saying up there? Think about it. Life. It's like that cookie jar. We are born. Once we get the cookie, once we get something that we like, it's hard to turn off, isn't it? And as a matter of fact, in our own fleshly nature that we often take into our marriages, we want all the cookies. How many of you had to teach your kids to do that? It didn't matter where you put that cookie jar or candy dish. They found it and they got into it. Now, unscrew it 5 times. We tightened it up really well. Unscrew it 5 times and don't drop it and break it, because we'll know. You don't have to do that. You have to teach them, because God's design is that cookies are really tasty, but if they eat the whole thing, they're going to have a bad stomach ache, and that's not healthy for them. So you give them 1 if they clean up the green things on their plate. Okay? And you are in control of that, because why? Not because you don't want them to enjoy the cookies, but because you know that too many of those things is not healthy, is not good for them. So you teach them how to keep their hands out of the cookie jar. You teach them how not to be selfish and just want things just for themselves. The problem is in our day and culture, because we're all about, oh, it's all okay. Yeah, let them have what they want. Let them feel good. It's fine. We, instead of actually teaching them that, we just kind of let them grow up with that, and then they walk down the aisle. And they've got their cookie jar on one side, and their spouse has their cookie jar on the other side, and they've learned that what love really is that I'll give you 1 of my cookies if you'll give me 2 of yours. See, that's not love. And yet I can tell you over and over again, that's what young people getting married think that it is. You may never heard of it as the cookie jar, and we have to teach them how to stay out of it rather than get into it, but that's really what it is. We have allowed them to think life is all about me and about all the cookies that I can get, and if I get married, I better have somebody that's going to give me more cookies than I give them. That's what I call the cookie jar life. And what we need to do is be able to say, love is really this. I see you for who you are, and I love you, and I've learned that you are reciprocating that to me. You're giving some of that back. So one of us, and it's going to start with me, whoever, as Dr. Eggerichs says in Love and Respect, whoever thinks himself most mature, take the first step. But here's what love really is. Here. Now, all of you are married, or you're thinking about it maybe, or maybe you have been, so you understand where I'm going here. You can take this as far as you want in marriage, okay? Here, you can have all my cookies. They're yours. whether you give me any back or not. Now, I highly, strongly suggest that you find someone that understands that as well. But you can't force them to do that. You have to be the one that says, here, you can have everything I've got. And what ought to happen is both of them do it. This 50-50 myth on relationships, and in particular on marriage, is just that. It's a myth. It's got to be 100-100. So the next time you think about selfishness, think about the cookie jar life. And remember why we teach our kids how to keep their hands out of the cookie jar and why. And remember, if we can teach them that, the difference it's going to make when they walk down the aisle. The difference it's going to make for them when they're training their children up. Because it really makes a huge difference.